Hey everyone, welcome to LRM Online's first ever 24-hour stream where we're going to be showing you guys our wonderful collection of Star Wars reviews from our Cantina podcast. The Cantina started out as a written weekly column. I had a segment called Last Call, and we decided to review every Star Wars movie, the live action movies leading up to a big same day release of Rise of Skywalker podcast to review that, the end of the Skywalker Saga. So Cam Clark and myself started it, and we had a bunch of people from LRM and other places help us out along the way. And so yeah, we wanted to bring this back to you guys in a unique way and give you the chance to interact with each other. So this whole project is brought to you by the great people over at Grow Generation. It's where the pros go to grow. Throughout this, in between each episode, you're going to see little snippets reminding you who's sponsoring the episode and what's going on, a little bit about our website, reminding you guys to like, share, subscribe. That's kind of the big thing that this is for, is we're trying to encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel, and that way you can interact with others, interact with us, and hopefully we will be joining you guys in the chat room off and on while this stream is going. So thank you guys so much for checking it out. Please do subscribe, share us with some friends and family, follow at the social media stuff in the descriptions below. And again, thank you Grow Generation for sponsoring this event. This stream will go up as long as I can keep it going with the internet service providers and YouTube. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Today's episode of the Cantina is brought to you by Grow Generation. Whether you're at the Death Star or the Senate, they have everything you need to grow right where you are. More from them later in the episode.
Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina Podcast, we provide top shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Last Call, the that little bottom part of the Cantina every week on Thursdays. We're going to be talking Star Wars movies once a month from now until the release of Star Wars Episode 9, Balance of the Force. No, I don't know if that's really what it's going to be called, but I've got a terrible sinking suspicion that there's some validity to that rumor. Hopefully I'm wrong. But we're going to be doing these podcasts, like I said, once a month, reviewing one Star Wars movie each podcast. And I'm going to be joined every month by none other than LRM Online contributor Cam Clark. Cam, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, not too bad. How's everyone today? Good?
Doing good,
Yep.
Doing good. And everyone that he's speaking about is going to be our third wheel. Once a month, I'm going to bring on a third wheel. And yes, I will refer to you as a third wheel. We're going to bring on a third voice just for some contrast sometimes. And just because, me and Cam, we're boring guys and we need somebody else to be a little bit more entertaining. This month, we've got Nick Dahl with us. Nick writes Breaking Geek for the website, also joins me quite often for LRM Ranks It. How's it going, Nick?
Good. I'm glad I'm the third wheel because I can't ride a bicycle. Tricycles are just fine.
Nice joke right there. So
Thank
what
you.
are we going to be doing? We're going to be reviewing movies. We're going to go in chronological order. We're going to start with episode 1. We're going to go 2, 3, Solo, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to have a special round table the night of release. The logistics for that one are going to be fun. I'm not sure if you guys caught it, but Cam speaks with an accent. Cam isn't from the United States. Cam is from our...
I'm from sunny Scotland, so Captain, she can't take any more.
Wrong sci-fi franchise.
He's connected to our old overseers, the Brits over there in the UK, Scotland to be exact, like he said, and we are very, very honored to have Cam on staff and as a part of this podcast. I know Cam's fandom runs deep. So that's what we're going to be doing over the next few months. I cannot wait for the episode 9 roundtable. That's going to be very interesting. So yeah, mark you guys' calendars around this time every month, around the week of the 20th, because that'll be, episode 9 comes out December 19th. Well, I think officially the 20th, but your preview nights are on the 19th. So right around this time every month, you're going to get a review podcast for Last Call. So why don't we go ahead and start off with everybody telling us just a little bit about how they got into Star Wars and what Star Wars means to them. We'll start with you, Cam, since you're going to be my co-host throughout this whole project.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I got into Star Wars. I suppose I never was not into Star Wars, if that makes sense. When I was young, it came on the TV. I think we must have recorded it, and we pretty much wore out the old VHS tape. I was born in 1978, so I just always remember having seen the original Star Wars. I must have seen it 50 to 100 times in a year. It was we just watched it non-stop and played every part in it. Of course, the same with Empire Strikes Back, and then I think Return of the Jedi in 1983 was the first time I went to the pictures, I believe, to obviously see the climax to the trilogy. So yeah, I've always been into Star Wars my whole life. Absolutely.
Very cool. And Nick, tell us a little bit about how you, young whippersnapper, got into Star Wars.
Yes, I was born 10 years after Cam in 88. I had the exciting opportunity to see them for the first time on the big screen when they did the special editions in 1997. And I've been hooked ever since. Since that time, there's constantly been toys and video games, even before we got the prequels, and prequels came so quick afterwards, and even before this new trilogy. So I've been everything Star Wars since 1997.
Very cool. And I'm kind of in the middle, not as old as Cam, not as young as Nick. But I got into Star Wars, right around 1990. My parents had also recorded VHS tapes off of television. I think it was HBO. I've got this vague memory of the old HBO logo intro video on my Star Wars tapes. But grew up, loving Star Wars, watching the movies all the time. I used to relate the 20th Century Fox fanfare, which was on a lot of movies from that studio. But whenever I'd hear it, I'd always think that it's going to be Star Wars.
Oh, same.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I was disappointed on TV when it wouldn't be Star Wars. Back in the day, I don't know how many listeners remember needing a book called The TV Guide to figure out what was on TV. Because, before the days of cable boxes and satellite boxes, you had to have a guide. So you'd hear the 20th Century Fox fanfare and you'd be like, oh my God, Star Wars. And then something else would come on and you'd be like, aw. And I also remember getting stoked on Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you ever have seen that movie, there's a scene where they're out joyriding in the car. A couple parking lot attendants in the car jumps the road and they start playing the Star Wars intro music. And if I heard that from my room, I'd come running out thinking Star Wars was on. And then it's like, it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Not as good, but I can watch that.
Yeah, you still watched it.
Yeah, I still watched it. I like
Still
Ferris Bueller.
Ferris Bueller.
Went through the special editions. It was really awesome to see those in the theaters, an experience, to get to see the Death Star blow up on the big screen, was definitely cool. Despite some of the changes, Lucas made in the special edition not being great, later changes he made in other versions, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, got worse. And I was a huge EU fan. A lot of you guys that have been reading the Cantina, I appreciate your readership. You know that I'm a huge EU Legends fan. And Star Wars is a big part of my life. I've got it permanently etched onto my skin via a nice little tattoo that's half the Rebel symbol, half the Imperial symbol, and a blue lightsaber dividing it. So shout out to my tattoo artist, Danny Lee, who did that for me. So... Star Wars is great, right, guys?
Absolutely.
Well,
especially this one.
Well,
Well,
it was.
No. Star Wars is still great, but all great things have some dark side. You know what is it they say? The brightest light casts the darkest shadow. Cam.
I mean, that's very poetic, but
Cam, do you feel there's some really dark shadows in Star Wars' recent history, and maybe even what we're going to discuss today?
I think there absolutely is. Yes. You know, as an OG fan, you know, I suppose I can call myself that. I don't think it's ever quite lived up to the potential that those first three movies showed. That's what I would say.
There's a lot of nostalgia factor into the OT, the original trilogy, and like a lot of properties, Ghostbusters is another example. I know Nick and I have discussed this several times on Slack, and even those fanboys. It's really hard to recreate the magic of something original, like Star Wars or like Ghostbusters, and I often wonder, is there a way for them to actually make all of the original fans as happy with something new as they were with the OT? I don't know. What do you think, Nick?
No, it's lightning in a bottle for both cases, as we've discussed. Because, I don't know, it's just, nostalgia makes everything seem worse that comes later, I feel.
And what was your take on that, Cam?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I think that's the movie industry, is that you capture lightning in a bottle once and then you just try to ring that lightning round the bottle as many times as you can to make as much money off it as possible until it's dead and there's no lightning left in the bottle anymore. Whereas I believe in the book world, for example, people are able to do this far more consistently, which means it's the quality of the writing. That's the problem. If someone, maybe they got lucky with Star Wars in terms of how it worked, but, I believe that the prequel trilogy should have been far more better planned out than it actually was. A lot more writing quality should have went into it before it ever went in front of cameras.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the middle. I think it's a very difficult thing to do to please people. But I'm not saying that it's 100% an impossibility. But let's go ahead and get into what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be talking about the Phantom Menace. I
my favorite.
The best one.
Lost my mind for a second there. Maybe that's my body trying to tell me let's not discuss this. No, actually, ladies and gentlemen, we all watched the Phantom Menace this week. That's one of the things about this project is we have to watch each movie the week that we do the podcast. And so we've all very, very recently seen the Phantom Menace.
Fuck you, Kyle.
To the detriment of our mental health. And I got some talking points, some things that I want to be able to talk about through each movie. So I wanted to know, Cam, when was the last time you had seen the Phantom Menace before this week?
Yeah, so I honestly think the last time that I saw this movie was at the theatre with my son, maybe around, I want to say 5 years ago,
the
6
3D
years
one?
Ago, roughly. It was the 3D version.
I think it's 2011 or 2012.
Right, that kind of makes sense. So my son was born in 2007. So I took him to the theatre with a friend. We thought, well, we'll watch that. At that point, they were going to all come out in 3D. They'd been telling us how amazing Star Wars would look in 3D, and having seen Avatar, which, I didn't particularly like the film, but, the 3D was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So to get the idea of that sort of in Star Wars sounded incredible. But long story short, we left halfway through. Kids were bored. I was bored. I'd seen the film so many times I really didn't need to watch it again, and the 3D conversion was awful.
That's harsh. Nick, when's the last time you saw this movie?
2011. After I moved back from California, my best friend and I, who showed his girlfriend, who's now his wife, them in chronological, the order we're doing them, like story order, as an experiment. And of course, we assured her that it got better. It gets better.
Did she stick with it
Yeah.
and see the saga out? Okay.
Yeah, she actually had very interesting perspectives on Anakin I would never thought of, and the Jedi Order, because she watched it in that order.
Did she appreciate the old trilogy far more than the prequels when she watched it?
Yes, she noticed the writing and the directing was much better.
Excellent. I
Good.
approve.
I cannot remember the exact year. I do know that a while ago, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I tried to watch a fan edit of all the prequel movies. It was like all 3 movies edited down to like 2.5 hours. And I couldn't even stick with that. And I think Phantom Menace was like 20 minutes of it.
It was just the fight between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Yeah. And, but I do remember a couple of years after Revenge of the Sith trying to do a saga viewing, watch all at that point 6 movies. And so I'm guessing in the early 2010s, maybe late 2000s is when the last time I had seen the Phantom Menace from beginning to end. And before going into this viewing this week, I hated the movie. I remember I did an LRM Ranks It with Joseph Jammer Medina, our editor-in-chief.
Oh, you mean the infamous
yes, the
LRM
infamous,
Ranks It?
the infamous LRM Ranks
That I
It,
have
where
not
we
listened to yet, even though I'm a Star Wars fan, in absolute protest.
simply because of where Jammer puts The Last Jedi and Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, that one, Cam. But I remember talking about it, and everybody knows how they feel about the Phantom Menace. I felt like it was a garbage movie, horrible writing, and that it only had a couple of redeeming moments. Nick, how'd you feel about the movie before you watched it this week?
Well, when I was a kid, I loved it, and I loved Jar Jar Binks and all that crap. Because I was young, but I went into this movie absolutely hating it. Obviously, it's not my least favorite Star Wars film, but it might as well be.
How'd you feel about it, Cam?
It is my least favourite Star Wars film. I just struggle to find any real good moments in it that entertain me continuously, especially as probably I've watched it most of the prequels because it was first out, and to begin with I deluded myself into thinking it wasn't as bad as what it really was. So I probably watched it quite a lot, and it doesn't hold up well, and I don't like it. It is my least favourite Star Wars film, without a doubt.
Now, did you guys know, start with Ken, did you know that you didn't like this movie the first time you saw it? Or because when I first saw it, I saw it at a midnight preview. I actually got to skip school the next day. It was hilarious. A teacher saw me at the screening. My mom called me out of school the next day. I think my dad was in Korea at the time. He was in the military, and I think he was in Korea at the time. So I went and saw this movie by myself, midnight preview, back when midnight previews really happened at midnight. Teacher sees me. I skip school the next day. My mom calls me in sick. I go back to school after that, and the teacher's like, "Well, where were you? I saw you at the theaters. You weren't sick." I was like, "Oh no, I got sick that next day, or I got sick that night, or whatever it was." It was hilarious.
Too much movie theater food.
Yeah, she was mad that she went to work and I didn't go to, the kids' version of work. But after seeing that movie, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it. Believe it or not, I think I saw it 8 times in theaters. And each time it dawned on me more and more that this is not a good movie. Did you know it was bad the first time you saw it, Cam?
No, I mean, I didn't think it was as good as the originals were, but there was a part of me wanted it to be good so much that I was so hyped for it that I couldn't see the flaws. I just kept arguing past them, and tried to explain away everything, and that it would all improve, and that it was setting the scene, and that it's okay because Star Wars was a kids movie and they're just adapting it to that, and it's just maybe that we're getting too old for it. But I really just did delude myself completely for many years, and now obviously realise what it really is.
Definitely. And Nick, of course, you were younger than us. You're a few years younger than me, and you already said that you liked it, but kind of realized that it was garbage as you got older.
Yep, like I said, I even wanted a license plate that said Jar Jar. that age, and I was from years away from being able to drive. So,
well, let's dive into this movie a little bit because it's a long movie that is incredibly boring, and it starts off with crawls aren't all that spectacular to begin with, but you want to talk about taking something that is not necessarily super exciting and making it even more boring. This movie's crawl gets into politics and ambassadors and trade regulations, and just from the get-go, watching it this time, bored out of my mind already and regretting my decision to start this project. How'd you guys feel?
Yeah, it's not the best opening crawl. I don't think it is. However, it really doesn't concern me too much. I suppose the opening crawl is just, it is what it is. If it had been a good movie, I wouldn't have cared about the opening crawl. But it's not a good movie, so it kind of sets you up for what you're about to experience.
It was an honest crawl.
It's an honest crawl. It actually does, set your expectations for the movie. So in that respect, it's quite good.
I like that. Speaking of crawls, it's kind of funny. You just said, crawls, they're not all that important. But when Rogue One came out without a crawl, man, people were pissed.
Ooh.
Like, people were legitimately upset. I didn't mind it. I thought it was nice to separate it. I didn't care for what Solo did, but we'll discuss Solo, April? May? Sometime
briefly
like that.
about that, Solo might as well have done a crawl because there was something. Yeah.
Yeah, they may as well. Instead, they use the Galaxy Far, Far Away font and color, or in credits color. I can't remember. It's a shade of blue, and just kind of almost like a preface in a book or a comic book or something like that. But yeah, fuck Solo.
We'll get there in a few months.
You will get there in a few months. So the movie starts off, and I was actually kind of pleased once we get to the first action scene. The Jedi have been there's an attempted assassination on the Jedi by the incredibly Asian stereotype aliens, the Neimoidians. Neimoidians. I can't pronounce that damn.
It is Neimoidians.
Neimoidians, yeah. They're speaking in some horrific stereotypes, and they've got slanted eyes, and a lot of people have pointed out that they are potentially Asian stereotypes and racist, and I don't know what Lucas was doing.
But the Empire's all British, so
yeah, true,
and the pirates in The Force Awakens were Scottish for some reason as well, which I thought of as a personal slight and all. But
all the best bad guys are British.
I mean, hey ho, but people will look into things and see what they want to see sometimes.
Yeah, but there were several things in this movie, and we'll get to a couple others that do lead you to not necessarily think somebody was being overtly racist, but somebody definitely has their fingers far from the pulse of society. But the first action piece I actually kind of like. This is the first time we're getting to see new Star Wars, new Jedi, new lightsabers. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn. There's some really crappy comedy with the droids, Roger, and all that shit going on. But you get blaster bolts being deflected. You get to cut through a door with a lightsaber, something you never got to see really in the original trilogy. You get to see Han Solo slice through an animal. But what do you guys think about the first action set piece in your new Star Wars movie? Cam.
Okay, so I think it's not aged as well as I remember it. But I was, when I watched it at first, very excited about the whole Jedi's cutting through doors and, them deflecting bolts. They had the little speed burst and things like that. They hold their breath. It was like Jedi being Jedi, but looking at it now, it does feel a little bit dated to me.
What'd you feel about it, Nick?
I still really like that scene. It's totally one of my favorites because, it's the first time we got to see Jedi really be Jedi because Darth Vader really couldn't move around much and Luke wasn't trained the same way. So so we gotta see them be badass for the first time until the droidicas show up and they have to escape through the vents.
Decas, destroyers, master destroyers.
Roly poly.
Yeah. I had one of those toys, and I used to like rolling it and having it pop open, and it rarely did it land on its feet.
No, they always used to fall over.
Yeah, I know. Now, that is one good thing, and I forgot to write this down. I meant to, but I'm glad I remembered it. I did spend an inordinate amount of money on merchandising for the Phantom Menace before it came out and after it came out. I think I collected the Pepsi cans, but I don't drink Pepsi, so I think I went with the Dr. Pepper or the Mountain Dew ones. Lots and lots of toys. Despite how I felt about the movie, they did have a lot of really great toys. Did you guys get any of the toys or merchandise from this movie?
I was a little bit old for toys, but I definitely got some merchandise. I think I actually had the book before the film came out, which was kind of weird.
Oh yeah.
I didn't read it until after.
Terry Brooks wrote that one, didn't he?
He did, yeah, Terry Brooks.
Yep.
Actually, the novel is better than the film. There you go. I know that normally happens, but not normally when it's a novel of a film. It doesn't happen like that. But yeah, I actually thought it was better. There was a couple of little details in there that actually made it make more sense to me.
Nick, what type of toys or merchandise do you remember?
Well, I got that very first toy, maybe even before a trailer, but definitely before they released a line of toys, which was the battle droid on, the name of the thing. I don't.
The Stap, the air bike.
Yeah,
thing?
and it was like the first look at it in a way, and you're like, oh, cool. And then I had all the cans empty because I drank them. And didn't throw them out until I went to college. And I'm like, why do I have this garbage? And then I even had the video game afterwards on PC, which was the first level was quite fun. And you could kind of Grand Theft Auto it on the Mos Eisley level. So,
yeah, I remember that game. Going back into the movie, we get past our first action piece and our racist aliens. We get back, we get down to Naboo, and we meet our next stereotype-ridden alien in Jar Jar Binks. I'll tell you one thing about this movie, seeing it in Blu-ray, the graphics are horrible. I mean, they stand out so bad on Blu-ray, and I've got a 4K TV, and I'm using HDMI. I'm using the best of the best that you can for audio visual, and it just stands out so bad that it makes me really, really thankful for all of the practical effects that have gone into the Disney movies. Rogue One, Episode 7, and Episode 8. Did you guys notice that? How bad it looks, Cam?
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely ropey compared to what we would expect from sort of current standards. So it is of its time. It was impressive at the time. They were trying things that had never been done before, but ultimately it hasn't aged well, to the point where the practical effects of the old trilogy in many ways actually hold up better for me all these years later.
I can see that. And there were several practical effects that were used in this movie, in the Phantom Menace, that I know that Lucas didn't stick with through 2 and 3. So over the next couple months, I'm going to be interested in seeing how those ones look, because like I said, I haven't watched these movies in years. Speaking of Jar Jar Binks and graphics and everything, Nick, why don't you just describe to us a little bit about your take on the whole Gungans and meeting Jar Jar Binks this time around?
Well, again, we say he's a stereotype. I don't know. It's like they're trying to do Chewbacca again. It's like the whole life debt. But all that Gungan stuff looks especially terrible compared to other special effects in the movies. Like the whole city, all the groups of Gungans and the guy, Boss Nass. It's just, I don't know why I love this.
They think they're so smart.
But yeah, that's about all you can say about how terrible that part is.
It is. It's pretty bad. And then, they're setting you up because you got to go through the planet core. Or no, the only way to the Naboo, or fastest way to the Naboo, is through the planet core. And they're setting you up. So, he says, oh, your Gungan friend here owes me a life debt. And Boss Nass seems like surprised, like, you have the life debt to them? Really?
With this and listen? Whatever that. What does this and listen mean?
I don't know. This one and this one? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I never thought of that.
He's gonna die.
But we get some slapstick humor with "There's always a bigger fish," and we eventually get to make it all the way to the actual, humans on Naboo, and they're dealing with this Trade Federation embargo, which. When you look at like the old EU map and you pay attention to everything in the movie and everything in the prequels, Naboo, like strategically, that was a dumb place to set up your trade route, your embargo, because they're actually not on a major trade route. And other than the fact that Palpatine comes from Naboo, there's no reason for him and his plans to have involved that planet. As a matter of fact, that just shows how the writing didn't take into account the very story that they were trying to tell, because they should have made it about, Naboo's really important to trade routes, or Naboo produces certain materials that are really important for trade, something.
I don't know. I mean, was the point not more though that it was unexpected? No one expected. They just thought it was going to be some very simple thing, because obviously Palpatine was behind it all, and he was doing it to create this sympathy vote for himself in the Senate. So it was all designed around that one thing. So
I know, but
he was the senator for that planet. That's what he needed to happen.
Right. But I'm saying, like, to me, it would have made more sense if I'm going after power. My planet better have a bargaining chip with it, and it just didn't seem like Naboo. Maybe it's the business school side of me thinking too logically.
There's lots of water there, and there's like none on Tatooine.
And there is actually sand.
Maybe they're exporting water.
Yeah,
but it didn't feel like they had enough of a bargaining chip for Palpatine. I know why he did what he did, but it didn't make sense for Naboo to be that important. Like I said, when you look at like the galactic map from the EU, it's not on a major trade route. There's no major import-exports. It didn't make logical written sense. You know what I'm saying?
Well, now that ain't canon, so it don't matter.
But I know why he was doing it, because, like you said, the sympathy vote and everything to make himself chancellor. But we get to Queen Amidala. We finally meet Natalie Portman's character, and she was horrible. Just as stiff as an actress can be, just absolute garbage. And I feel bad saying this about her. I know she's done several other movies, and she could only do so much with what was written. But unlike, child actors who you kind of give a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, because they're young, she should have been able to do look, Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor did something with what they were written. She did jack shit. Cam, what do you think?
Totally agree. I do believe the character was so underwritten, it was criminal. She had no character arc throughout the entire trilogy, and she continued to make bad decisions constantly throughout that trilogy without ever getting any explanation as to why she was so dumb and why she made all these terribly bad decisions. It just didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. However, saying that, she could have done far more with the role, and I actually don't think she gets any better as the trilogy goes on either.
Nick, was Amidala your first love on screen?
No. I think she gets a little looser on Tatooine, because part of that is being the queen. But yeah, she's not very good. But if anything, she tries to stop the story, where she's like, "We shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing this," and she almost prevents Darth Vader in that way. She's like, "We can't put this kid in this pod race and stuff."
Yeah, she could also prevented Darth Vader by, not marrying the psychopath that genocided.
That she meets as a child.
It takes forever to get to Tatooine, it feels, but at the same time, the movie has a lot of pacing issues, and these pieces, these scenes getting from outer space in orbit of Naboo, getting to the spaceship to go to Tatooine is very, very, very choppy. Do you guys agree? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yeah, and of course, it's one of the worst intros for it is the worst intro for R2-D2. It's like,
Yeah,
why? He was just
definitely.
one droid who saved them, and now he's getting to go to Tatooine.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it just so
bizarre.
happens that he's there, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they should have cut out a lot of the Gungan stuff and just got to Tatooine shit ton quicker. You know, like 20 minutes earlier, get to Tatooine, because for me that's where the story starts. You need to ground the story somewhere. The story should have been Anakin and his discovery of this universe that's out there, the Force. So as an audience in episode 1, we learn about this stuff through Anakin, but we don't get to him quick enough, and when we do, he's far too young. But we'll get to that.
When I rewatched it, I paused it to do laundry, and I was like, what? I'm only 30 fucking minutes into this 2-hour and 15-minute film. I was like, how?
Yeah.
I thought it was halfway done.
It seems to take forever, but the pacing is just horrible. And I know, Cam, I think me and you've discussed before in the past, you just love the exposition and the explanations that the starship captains
Oh
giving
yeah,
on the
Captain
way.
Exposition, you know. Look, we've taken damage. They're shooting at us. You know, that little droid did it. Look, it's a planet, and it's an entire city. This one controls the pitch. No, that's all he does. That's all his dialogue is through. You know, he never has a single conversation with anyone that's not him directing what's happening on screen at that time. You know,
It's like watching anime.
I
And I
hate
love
him.
anime.
And actually, I forget his name. Sorry, but the actor is actually not too bad. I've seen him in a few other things, and he's actually not too bad at all. But you know, what could you do with those lines? It's impossible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Samuel
Han
L.
Solo
Jackson
was there.
things.
He'd slap him and be
Harrison,
like,
Harrison Ford couldn't have even done anything with those lines. You know, he would have been like, you can type this shit, but you know, I'm not
That's
saying
the
it.
whole thing
That's
about
what it needed.
these.
It needed somebody like him
see,
to go, fuck.
he's kinda like
right,
C-3PO.
Let's do it like this.
but if Han Solo was there, he would just slap that captain and be like, stop telling me everything.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the prequels, man, is the writing, the dialogue. You know, there's not a lot that people could do with it. You had some actors that did the best they could, and then you have actors that tried on one movie, and then the next two they were just like, fuck it, man. If he's not gonna try, I'm not. But we get to we get to Tatooine, and we meet our young Darth Vader. We meet our third alien stereotype. This one happens to be a Jewish stereotype. So far we've poked at the Asians, we've poked at African Americans, and now we're poking at Jewish people with Watto. Cam does a great Watto impression. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Cam. But
Magics don't work on me, only money.
To be fair, I can do most of them, I think, these days.
Please don't stop.
yeah, just keep going
We
throughout
go along.
this whole project, all 11 episodes.
Oh yeah, I mean we've got every month to go. You're going to get plenty
Yeah.
before the end. You know, I'll do them all at
Awesome.
some point. Like you hear
I'll
my
put a compilation
Chewbacca at some
together at
point.
the end
But
of it.
you're laughing.
Yeah, I cannot wait. I mean, it can't be. You know what? I'm going to save that comment for Solo.
I knew you were going to reference that.
I'm going to save that comment for Solo. For those of you that don't know, I don't like the movie Solo, and Nick loves it, so it's going to be an interesting episode. But yeah, here we are, Tatooine, Watto. We realize, you know, we've got a faulty hyperdrive. We need some parts for it. And we get to what I think is one of the worst scenes in all of Star Wars, and that's Watto's shop, and it's Jar Jar Binks and his freaking Groucho Marx, you know,
The pit droid.
slapstick comedy shit, the droid that kicks him in the nuts. Hey, you gotta punch him in the nose. Yeah, who puts the big on-off switch on a robot?
Like a shark.
As their optical sensor as well. You know, stupid. But you also get that horrible line, one of the first lines, if not the first line he speaks, he being Anakin, "Are you an angel?"
Are you an
mean,
angel?
Oh, God.
I want my mommy.
Bad.
He knows what planets angels come from.
Is it
As if
tea
it's a real
time yet?
species.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Nick, you were younger when you first saw this, man. Talk about this scene.
Didn't bother me as a kid. I actually like Jake Lloyd because he's also, I think, from Colorado Springs. So from my state. So, or Fort Collins, rather. So I was like, oh, that's cool.
But what about now?
I absolutely hate him. He's like, you can have good child actors. Like,
well, I mean the scene, not Jake.
Oh, the scene's terrible too. I don't. Yeah, it's just so their age difference is so weird. I might as well have Luke and Leia like having sex rather than like these two getting together. But Jesus, it's terrible.
Cam, didn't you buy into the fact that these two could fall in love from that initial interaction?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, come on, it's he was too young. They cast him too young, 10 years old. How are they ever supposed to develop a relationship with each other? He should have been 5 years older at least, 15, starting to think about girls, and she walks in and, all he's been used to seeing is the slave girls kicking about Mos Espa, with one leg and no teeth, and then all of a sudden this queen walks in from Naboo and he's like hubba, that's what to me would have been a decent attraction to kind of start them off, but no, he's just a kid and he thinks she looks like an angel.
Yeah, it was no bueno. Definitely. Tatooine is like the centerpiece of this whole thing, and we get a little more introduction to Anakin. Find out about his slavery and his mom, and that he has no father, that he was a immaculate conception. We know that the Star Wars canon has officially said that it looks like Palpatine affected the Force to create Anakin.
I hate that.
Yeah,
thank God for midichlorians.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to get at is midichlorians. George Lucas, once created this amazing thing called the Force that surrounds us, binds us, penetrates us, everything between the rock and the ship, and we're luminous beings and stuff like that. And he's like, nope, microscopic fucking bacteria lives inside your cells, tells you the future.
He has more than Master Yoda.
And just completely ruins it. Midichlorians to me is one of the worst things in all of Star Wars. Like, I would almost give my left to get rid of midichlorians from the canon, but unfortunately it's still there.
How would
ahead.
you have done if he's set on the idea of a virgin birth and this kid is remarkably talented? How would you have done it without using something that they can test? I'm just throwing it out there, devil's advocate.
Just sense it. Like, I sense he's super strong in the Force.
It just has to be the Force.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be.
I see a light emanating from him or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, in the old EU, they used to ignore midichlorians. I think it was I think it was during the time where Jason's going to the dark side, and there's a line about midichlorians between him and Ben Skywalker.
Yeah.
Because fucking Ben, the name Ben don't mean jack fucking shit to Han and Leia. It only means something to Luke, which is why it was stupid to have Kylo name
We'll get
Ben
to that
unless
too.
Leave it for
unless they
episode
let
7.
Luke name him.
Kel.
But
Leave it
anyways,
for
yeah,
episode
I'm
7.
fucking pissed about that. But there's a line and they make fun of it, and Jason says, like, that doesn't matter. Midichlorians don't matter. So even the Star Wars authors back in the EU were just like, no, fuck that shit. The Force is mystical. The Force could have created, or even still, you could have used, Palpatine could have used the Force to create him, just not through fucking microscopic bacteria. I can't stand.
I mean, I hate the whole Palpatine created him. It actually
I hate
makes
that too.
no sense whatsoever. To me, the beauty of the whole Darth Plagueis was a temptation of Anakin. It was trying to explain, it was trying to persuade him over. But to me, it always felt like a downright lie that Palpatine knew absolutely nothing about the conception of Anakin. He was just doing whatever he had to do to get Anakin to join his side and be sympathetic towards him. So the idea of him magically doing something to Shmi and then saying, right, okay, you go away, I'm not going to know where you are. Well, this will be like a cool wee game of hide and seek. It's like she's Waldo and he's the guy trying to find him.
Yeah.
What? So I'm going to let this person that's going to be my ultimate apprentice, and I'm going to let them go away somewhere, and I'll never know where they are. And then mysteriously the Jedi will find them. I'll allow them to train them for so many years, and then just when I really need it, I'll turn them to the dark side. That's so stupid. Whoever wrote
all
that
about the
needs
end
a
game.
slap in the face. But
No, I still don't believe. I mean, she's a slave. She makes extra money by being a prostitute, I'm sure. She probably slept with the Jedi at some point. That's canon. I wish that was canon.
So what you're saying, Cam, back when that revelation was announced that Palpatine was the one that influenced the Force in the midichlorians to create Anakin, what you're saying is before that comic book, it wasn't 100% obvious that was the way it was. There was other possibilities, right?
I know where you're going with this, and I agree with you completely. Yes, it was open to interpretation. I had my own interpretation, my own headcanon, and I know that doesn't mean jack shit, but
Nope.
But it was open to interpretation at that point, and I would have argued my case very specifically on why I thought it was my headcanon. And that book being canonized just destroys that, and it gives rise to a less imaginative viewpoint of the situation, a less subtle thing.
Yeah, so all in all, fuck midichlorians. I mean, that's the basic gist of it. But we get it. It's canon, and now we've got to get off of Tatooine. So we go to the pod racing. And when I was young, I remember pod racing being kind of cool and enjoying it. I can remember wanting to get a computer game. I saw at a computer show somebody had they were displaying 3D technology on old CRT monitors, and they were using a pod racing game to show off the 3D, and that was pretty cool.
I had the 64 game.
Yeah,
I had that as well.
How did you feel about pod racing this time around, Nick?
I still enjoy that scene. I think it's one of the best scenes in the movie. Obviously, the special effects aren't there quite, but it doesn't look terrible. And like, there's whenever they're talking, it kind of breaks it up. But I still find that part kind of thrilling, even though, that's the first point in the movie I kind of did feel a little bit of nostalgia, as much as I hated the rest of the film. Because it's a fun, fast-paced like action scene.
Yeah. I hated anytime somebody spoke, especially the announcers, anything that happened with droids, aliens, anything except for the actual race I hated. Cam, what do you think about pod racing?
I mean, I liked it at first. I thought it was kind of different from what we had in Star Wars before and fairly exciting. I also think the Blu-rays that we watched had the extended race as well, because you had more of lap 2, which you didn't get in the theatrical version, and I do think the longer version is better. However, I do find it over the years less exciting to watch. I know Anakin's going to win. It's like watching a rerun of a sports match and someone tells you the results in a different way than an action scene is for me. So again, not aged well for me, but I did like it at the time.
Now, so
there's nothing intrinsically wrong with it.
Sebulba had the best ship, but Anakin just kind of flies through that race. I mean, like, fast ship. Have you ever heard of Anakin's pod racer?
Well, it was the fastest ever built. He told us that. He said that I've built a pod racer. It's the fastest ever built. It's not got a power source. And it's 40 bits, but I mean, he built 3PO.
Another terrible origin.
Don't know how much I like that.
Because he never built anything again.
But I suppose that's because Jedis don't really have time for building, do they? They're jumping about, fighting people with lightsabers and, feeling the Force and shit.
And nobody got time for building.
Nobody's got time for DIY. They probably, if somebody else does that for them, there's probably like somebody, that's not very powerful and they're like that. Like, you could put up the furniture, because...
That's where they all went wrong. See, the Jedi used to have to build their own shit, but then they got complacent, and complacency led to the Sith. Boom, that's how we got Darth Vader. If they would have just continued to build shit and let Anakin build shit, we would have not.
So if we had introduced them to IKEA, then it would have actually saved the galaxy. That's your theory.
That's hilarious. But yeah, getting off in Naboo, they, of course, they win the pod race. And I do want to say this one thing. One thing that I liked about the prequel trilogy, especially episode 1, is they had a lot of aliens that are from the original trilogy. I mean, you see Quarren, like with the squid faces. You see some Rhodians, Jawas, Twi'leks. I mean, they got a lot of
servicing a Sebulba, even though they're not even similar species.
Yeah.
Jabba the Hutt, even, and another Hutt.
A hut, a couple huts in there. Yeah, you get some familiar aliens. Something that I know the whole idea is to sell toys for Disney, but hell, they even I think it's Rebels, they created a sister species to the Ithorians, the old hammerhead that you saw in the Cantina in episode 4. I can't remember the name of them, but they created another one, and it's like hammerheads, but they changed the position of the eyes. And it's all just to sell toys, but I really wish we had seen some familiar aliens in the new trilogy.
Why can't they just sell proper Ithorian toys?
Yeah.
No one's going, well, in 1978, I bought an Ithorian, so I'm not going to buy one now,
Yeah.
It's just the same thing all the time. This is boring,
or
Disney, come on.
Have some old aliens and some new aliens.
Yeah, there's a novel idea.
Yeah.
Like we get Wookiees in the Senate.
Yeah.
And Yodas.
Just kind of like how you could have... ETs. That's what you're... Yep. There's Wookiees in the Senate, too, but...
I noticed that. I'm
like,
how smart are they compared to the rest of the species here? Like they can say much without a translator.
Speaking of selling, both new toys and new aliens and old aliens, you could probably sell new Star Wars canon books while continuing on the stories and legends and make money from that. Make more money than you're making now with the books that are kind of boring.
None of your political nonsense here, Malone.
So, speaking of politics, we get over to Coruscant. And Coruscant it's just really there to say, hey, we don't trust Anakin to be trained. I mean, everything that happens there is Anakin not to be trained and Palpatine manipulating people to get power, which works. He tells Amidala, hey, maybe we shouldn't have Chancellor Valorum, and she's all like, no, we need Chancellor Valorum. He's been our strongest ally.
Bureaucrats.
Oh, and then just like that, no, fuck you, Valorum.
It's so easy.
Yeah, but to be fair, he does pussy out though. He's going to back her up, and then somebody whispers in his ear and goes, "Remember, they've got those photos of you in that Ithorian, the one with the new eyes, not the old one." And that's not going to go down well amongst the voters. So, and he concedes a point.
Yeah, I got why they did it, but it still happens a little bit faster than it should. But thank God, because the movie's too long to begin with.
See, most people think that there's too much politics in the Phantom Menace. I actually wish they had went into it in a more adult way, and we saw Palpatine as the manipulator without knowing that he was actually Darth Sidious. So obviously, we would have all known that Ian McDiarmid was playing the same guy. The hardcore fans would have known that was the Emperor, basically. But I do think they should have kept that surprise so that as if you're watching it from the start, you wouldn't know that this guy was the evil overlord. I think he should have hardly been in the Phantom Menace at all. He should have just been pulling the strings in the background. And then it looks like this guy, Frank Palpatine. I always like to call him Frank because he's... I must be Frank, Your Majesty. And then they changed these... What is his real name now again? Oh, escapes me now. But they did give him a proper name. Sheev. That's it. Sheev Palpatine.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I preferred Frank. But right. But I would have liked to seen him as this political manipulator, and then later on in the series we find out these are the same people and what the goal was. So it felt like there was this twist at the end that you would only see coming because you had seen episode 4, 5, and 6, not because. Oh, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't.
I think there's too much politics to do the type of movie that they did do. If they had leaned into it more, like you were saying, then yeah, I think it could have worked. But they have too much politics to do what they did.
Oh yeah,
Does
it's
that
aimed
am
at
I
too
making
young
sense?
an audience to have that stuff in there.
Yeah, and it's very
Guaranteed, yeah.
obvious. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I mean, this really appealed to you. You were what, 9, 10 when this
Yeah.
came out? Yeah, this Star Wars trilogy, the prequel trilogy, was aimed at kids. Episode 1 was aimed at 10, 11, 12-year-olds, and Lucas kind of let them grow up with it from 99 to 2005, which isn't necessarily the smartest idea, because Star Wars Episode 4, the original Star Wars, A New Hope, whatever you want to fucking call it, it was all ages. It appealed to teenagers. It appealed to 10-year-olds. It
Yep.
appealed to 30-year-olds. But Episode 1 was aimed at kids.
Absolutely.
And,
Well, here's what's
but he
crazy.
didn't quite know how to do it.
Whatever is behind millennials, I work in a movie theater, so I work with a lot of younger kids. The prequels are their favorite movies. Because
It's
that's what they
weird.
grew up with first, before they got into the
weird.
classic. Which is why if I ever have children, they'll never see these fucking
weird.
movies.
But,
Yeah.
you know, but then
My-
there's sensible people like yourself, and I very rarely use that term for you, Nick, but I'm going to do it here. And who have grown up to appreciate how bad it was, and for me it's short returns. So you get this audience in at this younger age, but they're going to grow out the film. They're not still going to like that film when they grow up, because it doesn't have any adult themes, because it is just aimed too young, and the humor's just
Humor's
it's not
horrible.
funny. I mean, even as a kid,
Not
I wouldn't have
funny.
liked that, to be honest, you know.
I liked stuff like Abbott and Costello. I like slapstick, but the slapstick in Star Wars just didn't jive well, man. It was garbage.
I'm British, we don't like slapsticks.
Well, you know, we get off Coruscant, and you know, we've got our vote of no confidence, and now
Which
the
is so
Jedi
easy.
are gonna go.
It's
Yeah,
like,
I know,
it's so
right?
convenient. It's like one person says it, and they're like, let's put up 3 candidates.
Well, to
Yeah,
be fair,
like-
that does, you know, that is politics,
Well,
isn't it?
to trigger-
well,
to
there's a
trigger
wave
no-
starting here. I'm jumping in at the deep end
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, but it's like in a galactic senate with
Yeah.
thousands of systems. How many? If Valorum was that unpopular that one person can suggest, you know, a vote of no confidence, and enough people were like, yeah, fuck it, why not? You know, but then again, maybe it was people that had some political sway and were like, well, if we go ahead and get him out, then my guy can get in.
That's
Maybe
why we
what they were
needed to see
aiming at.
Palpatine greasing the wheels of
Yeah.
politics, almost like a House of Cards type situation.
Yeah.
I'd watch that show.
And getting everyone on his side so that he knew which way the vote was going to go before it happened.
Yeah.
It was just a case of getting enough of an initiation to get that point off.
Especially if Naboo is so unimportant. Where it's like, oh, let's elect the guy of Naboo. Like, he's perfect.
Yeah,
He knows
right.
his stuff.
He's had some shit.
Yeah.
He'll sort it out.
Again, Naboo was not the bargaining chip it should have been for it to work, for his plan to have been that plan. But anyways, we let's get back to Naboo, and let's get to Queen Amidala kneeling before Gungans and begging them to go sacrifice themselves as a
Oh,
distraction.
wait,
for the
you
droid
forgot
army.
the twist, the big twist when they get there and we find out that Queen Amidala is actually Padme the whole time. I mean, that's the best
Oh,
twist.
yeah.
That is the best twist in the series.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, no one saw that one coming. You're like,
I mean, it was the same
she's
actress,
the queen.
and
She's the queen.
and
How is
she-
this possible?
To be honest,
she has that.
when we're watching
she has
it,
that line
I can't
back-
tell when it's Keira Knightley and when it's what's her face when the Queen makeup is on, unless they're both in the shot. Natalie Portman, that's it.
Natalie Portman.
Okay, so Lucas managed to fool Nick with this trick.
Even with the most recent viewing. Well, I mean, I knew you always knew it. Like, to be
Well-
honest, I did read the novel before I saw the movie. I remember.
There's that scene on Tatooine where Qui-Gon says, the Queen trusts my judgment, and she says, you assume too much, and that's how you know that that was the Queen, on, you know, that the switcheroo had already happened.
Well,
At least
I
that's
don't
how
approve.
I figured it.
Well, as I say, I was a little bit older than you, chap, so I knew it as soon as she first
Yeah.
appeared back in the show.
Well, yeah,
and I
of
knew it was
course.
a different actress, and the other one was standing at the side, and I'm like, oh, right, okay. Brilliant.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't think that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting. But anyways, yeah, so she does her whole kneeling thing, and your switcheroo, the kneeling thing, and we we get the standoff with the droid army, and we get them to go unleash the pilots, and the Queen's gonna go after the throne room, and we get finally our big Jedi battle with Darth Maul, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul.
We forgot to mention the other lightsaber duel, which is the first one we see on Tatooine.
Yeah, that's true.
It's short,
it's short. What'd you guys think of it, Cam?
Yeah, I quite liked it, actually. I liked the whole cloaks flowing about in the sand. You know, I quite like lightsaber fights when they're done in strange environments. Like, I liked Obi-Wan's in the rain although it wasn't a lightsaber fight, you know. But I liked that. I liked the one in the snow in The Force Awakens. So it was a little bit unique that way, being in the desert. I quite liked it.
Okay.
Nick,
how'd you like it?
It's fine. I like it. I really love that, even though we saw it in the trailer, that they don't show the double blade until the reveal later, even though that was also the best part of the trailer. So anyone who watched the trailer knew. But still, it's cool later when he surprises them both with the first double-sided lightsaber that we've seen.
Definitely. And that to me is like the best part of this entire movie is the lightsaber fight between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Maul, specifically Obi v Maul. It's great to go online to YouTube and actually just watch just that without having to deal with the horrible space fight that's only horrible because of, again, people talking, specifically Anakin. You know, everybody's favorite line. Now this is pod racing. And what happens if I do this? Maybe I should turn left.
Let's try a
spinning.
That's
cool. A good trick.
That's it.
Yeah.
Cam nailed it.
Oh, God. So horrible.
Well, Kylo Ren picks that up later, so it's cool.
Yeah, I guess.
He is his grandfather's grandson.
Yeah. Yeah, true. It's just this horrible, but I did like the actual physical, space fight. It's the first time that we've seen a space fight in a long time for Star Wars, and you're getting fighters versus fighters. There's some capital ships involved. It wasn't too bad. I kind of liked it, but nothing really compares to that lightsaber fight. The Queen, she gets up to her throne room. And you get the other. Oh, look, this one's a decoy.
This one's a decoy.
Yeah, there you go. There's your inflection. And they've been in this throne room for forever, and maybe it's just the logical person in me, and maybe some of the experiences I have in life. But whenever you take over a room, you should search that room. And you're telling me that they never once sat in that chair, pushed any buttons on that chair, and found the blasters that were hidden in that chair?
Someone's getting sacked for that job.
Someone's definitely getting
probably
sacked.
Probably just a battle droid anyway.
Roger.
Looks good.
And scanners, Star Wars, you always, even in A New Hope, there's scanners. They go to scan the Millennium Falcon to look for hidden shit, right? So yeah,
they don't do it very well though, do they?
For hidden shit.
We ain't found shit. There's 6 people in there, but we ain't found shit.
Well, those were smuggling compartments. They were shielded and stuff like that. Come on now. You know the EU. You know the Falcon. Yeah. So anyways,
the Millennium Falcon.
But we actually, let's talk about that final lightsaber fight. It's really cool to watch 2 Jedi go against 1 Sith Master. But
Apprentice.
I love...
Apprentice.
Oh, yeah. An apprentice, sorry. A master and an apprentice versus an apprentice. But I absolutely love Obi-Wan versus Maul. I think it's the only time that Ewan McGregor really gets to act. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue early in the movie, or throughout the entire movie. But here, his body language and his facial expressions, the hurt on his face that his master's been killed, and it almost looks like he touches the dark side to fight against Maul. What do you say, Cam?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there is an element of that in there. He is angry, he's hurt. He wants to go at Darth Maul, and there's an intensity to his fighting. Whether he taps into the dark side or not, I don't know, but it does feel like that anyway.
Yeah. What did you think about that scene? Seeing it for the first time, Nick?
Oh, I'm sure I loved it. I still love that scene. Like, that's one of the best scenes. Like, but even though he doesn't have the high ground in this situation. And there is like that convenient plot device that kind of Galaxy Quest points out for Star Trek, where it's like, oh no, there are these walls that are keeping us from each other for a few minutes. But I do love that Qui-Gon even meditates during that moment, and Darth Maul kind of prowls like a cat.
Yeah, that was actually quite
like
well
that
shot.
moment. Kind of show the difference in mentalities for a fight.
And Obi-Wan just looks ready to fight the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. The movie, the good guys win in the end. Anakin accidentally wipes out the reactor for the main droid control ship, which you would think that you could send control from one ship to another ship just in case, but it's Star Wars and it's nothing makes sense, especially in the new trilogy.
Don't bring logic to Star Wars.
No.
There's no logic
The EU
here.
had logic. The EU actually had logic. The movies, they don't. Got it. Tracking. But the good guys win. Oh, what were you going to say? The EU didn't have logic?
Well, I was going to talk about the giant Death Star that was shaped like a lightsaber. The hot stole.
Oh, the dark saber.
The dark saber.
It was just the laser and the housing. Yeah.
And it was
I'm not
the
saying
dark
the
saber
every
because
EU
it looked
book
like
made
a lightsaber.
sense, but a lot of the EU, anything Mike Stackpole wrote, that usually made sense. So we'll go with that. Anderson, I didn't mind the Jedi Academy trilogy, but
Stackpole, Anderson,
yeah, Stackpole was great. Alston was great. And there's several really, really good writers that did great. Of course, Zahn. Anyways, man, we'll do a last call EU podcast someday. The good guys win. We get to the end of the movie. I hated the last song, the celebration music. I hate it more than I hate the than I hate the Ewoks. What do you guys think? Do you prefer Naboo victory or Ewok victory? Which one's worse?
I'm all in the Ewok victory. Wait a minute. Are we talking original Ewok victory or
you're right,
the special edition one?
They changed it
because we could have we're
talking the original.
What's the original? Wasn't that the original?
That's the original. I actually preferred the special edition version of that when John Williams did a new score for it. To be honest, I know that's an unpopular opinion, but
so you think so Naboo is worse than the original?
It's worse than anything.
Yeah, I hate the Naboo one. That's what I'm getting at. And then of course the last word in episode 1 is peace, as they're holding a Tesla coil plasma ball.
Maybe that's the thing that the planet has that's valuable. It's glowing balls.
Maybe that's what it made it so important for trade, is it sells.
We need more glowing balls.
Maybe they're energy sources that they use to, I don't know, something.
The Gungans have pretty good blue glowing balls in their battle. So I don't know why they need
that?
another one.
Yeah. True, exactly. Why? Shit, them humans probably stole that glowing ball from the Gungans, and that's why they didn't like them in the first place. Oh man! But the movie finally irises out, and we get to John Williams's outro music, which is always glorious to hear, whether you enjoyed the movie or not. Sometimes it's even better to hear it when it's a really bad movie, because you're like, oh, thank God it's over. And ladies and gentlemen, that is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. We made it through it. Barely. Cam, what were your feelings about this movie after viewing it this time? Were there any changes?
No, if anything, I thought it was worse. I don't think I'll ever watch the movie again. I can't think of a reason why I would watch it again. It's ingrained in my memory. I know every scene. I could speak a part in it. I don't need to watch it again, and it's just not good enough to rewatch because it's.
Nick, what do you think afterwards? Any changes? I liked feelings. Anything that was better or worse?
I liked it better in 2000. I liked it better then in 2011. Last time I watched it. But yeah, like I said, I'll never see it again. If I by some weird chance have children in my life, they'll never see it. It's just forget all three of these movies.
It's funny, as I was watching this, my wife went to go pick up my son. I've got a 5-year-old son. And when he came in through the door, he goes, "What is this?"
I wouldn't let.
And I was like, I was trying to explain to him, I didn't want to say it was Star Wars because it is Star Wars, but it's crappy Star Wars. But I don't want to say something's crappy in Star Wars and upset him. And like, I was trying to figure out how to politically tell my son that this is a movie you will never watch.
I wouldn't even let my cat in the room when I was watching it. I was like, no, get out of here. This is not for you. Bad.
You're old, cat. I don't want you to have an accident.
Yeah.
You need to let them experience bad movies and work these things out for themselves as well, even the cat.
I want to save my son from as many bad experiences in life. I mean, isn't that our job as parents? Cam, you're a parent.
No,
isn't it our job
your
to
job
protect
is to
our kids?
prepare them for life, to be able to take their place among society and survive.
You know what? That is a very good point. And what I should do is sit my son down, and he should watch from now until the day he moves out of my house. He should watch the prequel trilogy once a year.
Oh Jesus!
will
Don't
build
torture
character.
the boy.
Yeah, I mean that's
like my personal
and
hell.
unusual.
Yeah.
Well, shit. So I'm either too soft or too whatever. Fuck it. Damn it. You're
Moderation
Scottish. You're
is
supposed
always
to be
key.
all like more angry and harder parents than I am. I'm an American wussified millennial or whatever the fuck, No, I'm joking, everybody. Go be good parents. As long as you don't beat your kids, I guess you're fine. Yeah, let's talk just a couple last little things here that I want to go through for every movie. Who did you guys think was the best actor, strongest actor in this movie? All in favor of Liam Neeson, say aye.
I
Liam Neeson crushes everything, even those terrible movies he makes today.
Yeah. And, Ewan McGregor definitely will more than likely be
Hello
that
there.
name in the next movies,
Yeah.
but he didn't get a lot to do
he
this
gave
go
him
around.
criminally nothing to do in that movie.
Exactly.
There's hardly any dialogue at all.
I do think, what's his name who plays Palpatine?
Ian McDermott.
Yeah, he's pretty good because he's done this
He's
before.
actually, I would say, the best actor in the whole bloody 6 movies, to be honest with you.
Interesting.
Bold statement.
It is.
Worst actor, everybody, well, I know, I say Portman, and that's because
say
she
Portman.
should have known better.
Because she's a lead actress, and
Yeah.
she should have been better.
I still want to say,
What do you say?
I still want to say
Yeah.
Jake Lloyd because the right director can bring a great performance out of a child. Like we've seen Super 8, we've seen E.T., like Jurassic Park. Like the right director could make kids great, but
they're
Lucas
supposed
is
to play
not there.
kids that had a childlike view of the world, and we're supposed to see that view of the world through their eyes. That's what E.T.'s all about. Everybody's filmed from the waist down, other than the mother, etc. That's not Star Wars. We weren't supposed to look at the Star Wars universe through the eyes of this young child Anakin. If he had written it like that, maybe it would have worked, but he didn't.
Maybe.
yeah. So then either Natalie Portman or the guy who plays Jar Jar. Just dreadful, even though he's one of the first CGI. I think he is the first CGI character that speaks and stuff. But yeah, dreadful.
Yeah. And everybody's favorite scene, best scene in the movie, Obi-Wan versus Maul.
Yeah.
Nah,
No, what do you got?
I still
Nick?
have the opening scene, even though I've
opening
seen
scene?
the rest of the movie since then. It just leaves such an impression of like, this is the Jedi. They can hold their breaths and use lightsabers to open doors.
What did you guys think, or what are your worst scenes, Nick? What do you think is the worst scene?
Anything with the Senate or the Gungans battling the droids, which is intercut with the terrible space scene and the great lightsaber scene.
You don't like Jar Jar getting his foot stuck in the entrails of a battle droid and it somehow pulling the trigger every time he kicks? You don't
No,
like that?
I like it
not
about as much
having
as
the
I like.
bomber.
I like his bow as much
Here,
as he pulls
take him,
open
this
the
one.
door and drops all those balls.
Yeah.
Those blue balls
Lots
again.
of balls dropping in this.
Yeah,
Cam,
Lucas dropped the ball when he made it.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
What did
my
you think
least
was the worst
favourite
scene?
scenes kind of echo what Nick just said. Is the last 2 or the last sort of 3 parts of the finale that were intermixed with the lightsaber fight, because the lightsaber fight was my favourite part, but then they just keep having to cut to this awful action elsewhere. The attack on the throne room with Queen Amidala, boring, nothing going on there at all. The space fight I thought was boring compared to the original movies. You know, I love the space fighting. That was one of my favourite things. Still love playing with toy spaceships and making it all happen myself, and I just didn't think it was as good as the original trilogy was. I wanted to see Anakin as this badass pilot like Poe Dameron is in The Force Awakens, you know, taking people, taking down punks, you know, right, left and centre. I wanted to see the greatest star pilot in the galaxy, as Obi-Wan put it, and if they had made him older, they could have got away with that. And the Gungan battle, just so bad. It's unreal.
All CGI characters fighting other CGI characters in the 1999.
And you can tell. I think the worst scene was the scene in Watto's shop. Like I said, it's so super cringy. Are you an angel? And you got to push it on the nose. And I hated that scene. I think that's the most cringy moments in all of Star Wars history. Real close to who are your people? Oh, I have no people. Oh, Solo then. Yeah.
You're insulting that again. No, I hate that scene also. That's the worst scene in that movie.
By killing what we hate. We'll win by saving what we love.
We'll get to, you guys will get to all of this.
That sucks, but I still think. Are you an angel? Is
it's
worse?
Up there. It's up there. Yeah.
Anything in episode 2 is worse. Any scene in episode 2 is worse than this movie.
No,
I don't know about that.
I disagree.
You'll get to that without
me. Anything that can improve this movie? I think just a strict rewrite is about the only thing that can really improve this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you could have took the basic concepts that were in this movie and actually made something decent out of it. It just, there was too much fat in the wrong places. Some of the stuff that should have been there was cut out. There was just no adult drama going on. There was no character development, no banter. You know, you had that banter going between the main characters. So at the end of the Phantom Menace, I thought, who's our main trio or our main four this time out? You know, and you didn't get any sense of that because Obi-Wan was underused. Anakin's just a dumb kid. Qui-Gon gets killed. Darth Maul gets killed. Amidala's like a cardboard cutout. There's just nothing going on, and by making Anakin older, by taking Obi-Wan and putting him right in the centre of it, with Qui-Gon as well, so that Anakin and Obi-Wan get to start having a relationship themselves, which is, you know, going to build up to this friendship. And we'll get on to the other films, but I think that it was all too young. It should all been started at an older point and progressed on at an older point from there.
Yeah. You know what was the best part about this whole movie? This whole experience with episode 1 from 1999 until today. The best experience for episode 1 was seeing that trailer.
Yes.
The initial trailer. Before we ever saw the movie, seeing the trailer is the best thing I could say about Star Wars episode 1.
It was.
Oh, man. I remember trying to download it on the internet and it taking forever because I was on dial-up. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me an hour.
Memories.
To do that. You said
you're
saw
watching
it
like
once.
As it's buffering.
Yeah, so like I guess like
theaters.
you have like I think it opens with the Gungans on the animals coming out, and like there's a Darth Maul shot.
Every
that we
saga
talked about.
has a beginning.
Yeah, and it's got the real Star. I mean, the new Star Wars music's actually great, but I think the trailer has the classic Star Wars music, and you're like, right on, you know, Star Wars is back, baby.
Yep.
And then
that's why it was such a disappointment because we were so hyped. And it just shows you how revered the original trilogy was, how pumped up people were to see that. You know, I had friends that had no interest in going to the cinema. They're not cinema buffs, movie buffs, geeks like me. They all turned up to see Star Wars Episode 1 because, you know, they remembered Star Wars from their childhood. It meant something to them. And Episode 1 just failed to deliver on all counts.
All counts. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Anybody got any last comments on
Yeah, we never talked about Puppet Yoda.
I was about to bring that up too.
Puppet Yoda.
That's
and
one of the good
Switch.
improvements on the Blu-ray.
Hard to see.
Yeah.
The dark side is.
Yes. Yoda speaks more Yoda-ish in the prequels than he did in the OT when he was older. Puppet Yoda, it looked young. It looked way too young. You know, he's only a couple of decades. Yeah, he's only a couple decades younger in this than he is in the OT. So yeah, I kind of guess in this case CGI Yoda for the Blu-ray was better.
And by the
100%,
time they made the Blu-ray, they perfected the CGI since the prequels. So like it's actually the best looking Yoda in any of the prequels is in episode 1. He doesn't have a lot to
I didn't
do.
even pay that much attention to it. I need to go back and no,
No, don't you dare.
I think it is actually the best looking Yoda prequel that we've seen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Yep. Alrighty then. Well, hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys check out Los Fanboys. That's the podcast channel we're on right now is the Los Fanboys channel from here at LRM Online. And check out the Los Fanboys podcast every Fridays. Check out LRM Ranks It on YouTube every Tuesday, as well as all the great interviews that Geek does. He gets some A-list celebrities there. Great interviews on the YouTube channel. LRM Ranks It is also here on the Los Fanboys channel on Wednesdays for a podcast. And I've got the Cantina every Thursday. So a month from now, look forward to me and Cam and a buddy of mine that did an LRM Ranks It episode, Christmas episode way back in the day. Brian Brantley's going to be joining me and Cam for Star Wars Episode 2.
The worst.
Attack of the Clones.
The worst Star Wars movie.
No. It's actually,
So
I'm going to say this now, it's got one of my favourite scenes of all the Star Wars films in it, that movie, and for that alone it deserves to be higher up in the list than Phantom Menace for me. Tune in next month to find out what scene
I'll
that
listen
is.
to you guys.
Definitely.
Find out what it is.
Brian's a big fan of Attack of the Clones, so it'll be really interesting to get his take on it. So yeah, make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, share us with friends and family. Nick, where can people find you at online?
At LRM _Nick on Twitter. I love to argue with people, so come tell me episode 1's great. Come at me, bro. And I write Breaking Geek and sometimes some articles for LRMonline.com.
And Mr. Cam, where can people find you at?
Yeah, well, I'm writing articles for LRM, usually on a daily basis, normally to be found in the comments, where I seem to engage in debates that go on for forever these days, usually about Star Wars. Funnily enough, that seems to bring out everyone. But you can also get me LRM_Cam on Twitter, although I'm never on there. And you can email me as well, which a couple of the readers sometimes do when they have specific questions. Feel free.
Definitely, you guys can find me at that Kyle Malone on Twitter. LRM Ranks It and the Cantina, and I'm also kind of like the head weekend writer guy now. I've been doing that for a couple weeks, so yeah, make sure you guys are checking out LRMonline.com on the weekends. We are publishing new stories and new content on the weekends now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Cam, thank you for being with me. I look forward to seeing you next month. Nick, thank you so much for joining us this month, and I will see you at least by Solo.
That's right.
All right, everybody, have a good one, and you know what? Fuck it. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, Kel.
Live long and prosper.
Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can be alerted whenever we publish new content. Be sure to go to our LRM Online YouTube page so you can see all the great video content that we publish there as well. Also, be sure to check out LRMonline.com for all your entertainment news.
Did you enjoy that episode? I did. And you know who else enjoyed it? Or at least you watching it? Grow Generation. You should check them out at growgeneration.com.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. Grow Generation is your one-stop shop for hydroponic grow supplies, product systems, and more. Grow Generation serves customers across the nation and carries a wide inventory of renowned cultivation brands. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
Brought to you by Grow Generation. Today's episode of the Cantina is: whether on Dagobah or Tatooine you are, everything you need to grow right where you are, they have. Later in the episode, more on them you will hear.
Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina Podcast, we provide top shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Last Call podcast, the podcast companion for my weekly Star Wars column, That Cantina. I am your host, Kyle Malone, and today I'm actually joined by a special guest as well as my co-host for the Last Call podcast, Cam Clark. So, Cam, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Not sure if excited is the word to use to discuss this movie, but
Probably
yeah,
not,
we'll get
but
to that.
It's a process. We have to go through a process.
Exactly. And some of you that have watched LRM Ranks It, and thank you for watching that, will remember the LRM Ranks It Christmas movies episode. And one of my nearest and dearest friends, Brian Brantley, he's come back to the LRM fold one more time to help us out with this podcast. Brian, how's it going, bud?
It's going good. Real good.
So cool. How are you feeling after the horrible event that has led to this podcast?
And I'm coming fresh off it. It was the last piece of media I consumed. I watched it last night.
Same here.
I actually just finished it today, so I'm so fresh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So most of you guys should know just by logic and thinking about what comes after the Phantom Menace that today we are talking about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. It's a very interesting movie, not necessarily because it's good, but it does have a lot of different feelings amongst it. I know that Brian, you're actually pretty, as far as prequel movies go, you're a pretty big fan of Attack of the Clones, right?
Compared to the other two, yes.
Yeah, just the prequels, nothing else.
Yes.
And Cam, I think you said you were kind of neutral on it. It's got moments, but it's not like your most hated. It's not like your most loved.
Well, it's my second least favorite Star Wars film. I think we should probably point that out. However, there are, we probably get into this later, but I think there's a good movie there trying to get out, and it just is not allowed to get out at all. And there are some moments in it which I believe are actually quite good, but mixed in with other things makes the overall movie quite bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Well, before we jump into it, it's a business and we got to do those business things. So we got to ask you guys, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button here on the Los Fanboys podcast channel. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, including stuff like SoundCloud and iTunes. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you share us with your friends and family on social media. Share the love, guys. Share the love. LRM. We love doing this stuff for you guys, and we want to reach as many ears as we possibly can. So yeah, hit that subscribe button, and let's go ahead and get into. I want to know about your guys' memories when this movie first came out. After you'd seen the Phantom Menace, what was it like when Attack of the Clones was first announced? Brian, going into seeing that movie, how did you feel before you actually saw it?
Before I saw it, I was actually excited. This film lined up with my graduating of high school. Like within the course of 2 weeks, I turned 18. I graduated high school, and Attack of the Clones came out. So going into it, I was actually quite excited to see it.
Okay,
and I felt that it had
the
potential to redeem some of the issues I had with the Phantom Menace. I'm like, we got an older Anakin. This is what I want.
Very cool. Cam, what did you think coming off of the Phantom Menace, seeing that, what little trailers and stuff we had seen for Attack of the Clones?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts going into it?
I think I probably echo Brian in that I had great confidence and hope going into Attack of the Clones. I knew that the Phantom Menace had many issues, but at the time, as I said on the Phantom Menace podcast, I probably glossed over a lot of them and convinced myself they weren't as bad as what I thought they were. And I thought, well, Attack of the Clones, it's the second one, this will be the one that ignites the story, know, and we've got an older Anakin. We're going to really start getting into the meat of what this story is now, and it's going to be a hell of a lot better. It's going to redeem the Phantom Menace. That that was my thoughts going in, or my hope, shall I say?
I'm as same as you guys. You know, I had to convince myself that I liked the Phantom Menace. Brian, you're just about a year older than myself, and Cam is ancient, but that's neither here or there.
Hey,
But no, Cam, you were definitely much older than me and Brian were when we
Yeah.
saw the Phantom Menace. So
I
it
mean,
probably took a lot more work for you to convince yourself that it was good than me and Brian. Brian, just a quick touch on the Phantom Menace. Did you have to convince yourself that you liked it, or did you just accept that it sucked from the get-go?
I sort of had to convince myself that I liked it early on. It was funny because I remember I saw it several times, not as many as you, but I
Yeah.
did see it several times in theaters, and I just